Without the shedding of blood, there is no remission. Hebrews 9:22. One night in New York City, I was able to unveil the mystery of the water and the blood to a school teacher. I had quoted the above statement from Hebrews 9:22 and went on to explain that the realization that we have no hope save in ourselves is the discovery that God is within us. That this discovery causes the dark caverns of the skull to grow luminous, and we know that. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, Proverbs 20:27, and that this realization is the light to guide us safely over the earth. His candle shined upon my head, and by his light I walk through darkness. Job 29:3. However, we must not look upon this radiant light of the head as God, for man is the image of God. God appears, and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night. But does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day? Blake. But this must be experienced to be known. There is no other way, and no other man's experience can be a substitute for our own. I told the teacher that her change of attitude in regard to another would produce a corresponding change in the other, that such knowledge was the true meaning of the water mentioned in it, John 5:6, but that such knowledge alone was not enough to produce the rebirth desired, that such rebirth could only come to pass by water and blood, or the application of this truth. Knowledge of what to do is the water of life, but doing it is the blood of the Savior. In other words, a little knowledge, if carried out in action, is more profitable than much knowledge which we neglect to carry out in action. As I talked, one student kept impinging upon the teacher's mind. But this, thought she, would be a too difficult case on which to test the truth of what I was telling her concerning the mystery of rebirth. All knew, teachers and students alike, that this particular student was incorrigible. The outer facts of her case were these. The teachers, including the principal and school psychiatrist, had sat in judgment on the student just a few days before. They had come to a unanimous decision that the girl, for the good of the school, must be expelled upon reaching her 16th birthday. She was rude, crude, unethical, and used most vile language. The date for dismissal was but a month away. As she rode home that night, the teacher kept wondering if she could really change her mind about the girls. And if so, would the student undergo a change of behavior? Because she herself had undergone a change of attitude. The only way to find out would be to try. This would be quite an undertaking, for it meant assuming full responsibility for the incarnation of the new values in the student. Did she dare to assume so great a power? Such creative, godlike power. This meant a complete reversal of man's normal attitude towards life, from "I will love him if he first loves me" to "he loves me because I first loved him." This was too much like playing God. We love him because he first loved us. 1 John 4:19. But no matter how she tried to argue against it, the feeling persisted that my interpretation gave meaning to the mystery of rebirth by water and blood. The teacher decided to accept the challenge. And this is what she did. She brought the child's face before her mind's eye and saw her smile. She listened and imagined she heard the girl say good morning. This was something the student had never done since coming to that school. The teacher imagined the very best about the girl, and then listened and looked as though she heard and saw all that she would hear and see after these things should be. The teacher did this over and over again until she persuaded herself it was true, and fell asleep. The very next morning, the student entered her classroom and smilingly said good morning. The teacher was so surprised she almost did not respond, and by her own confession, all through the day she looked for signs of the girl's returning to her former behavior. However, the girl continued in the transformed state. By the end of the week, the change was noted by all. A second staff meeting was called and a decision of expulsion was revoked. As the child remained friendly and gracious, the teacher has had to ask herself, where was the bad child in the first place? For mercy, pity, peace, and love is God, our Father dear, and mercy, pity, peace, and love is man, his child and care, the divine image, Blake. Transformation is in principle always possible, for the transformed being lives in us, and it is only a question of becoming conscious of it. The teacher had to experience this transformation to know the mystery of blood and water. There was no other way, and no man's experience could have been a substitute for her own. We have redemption through his blood, Ephesians 1:7. Without the decision to change her mind in regard to the child and the imaginative power to carry it out, the teacher could never have redeemed the student. None can know the redemptive power of the imagination who has not shed his blood and tasted the cup of experience.